Hey guys, it's Shamsa and welcome back to my little kitchen. Today I'm going to show you how I make my Keema Biryani. It's got fragrant rice and perfectly spiced minced meat with potatoes, making it the perfect meal to serve for any special occasion or just a cozy family meal. Now, before we run through what you need, please make sure you hit that subscribe button, show your support and turn those bell notifications on for all things cooking. So let's start. So the ingredients you're going to need is as follows, and please remember, if you miss anything, don't panic. Just refer to the description box, which is located right below the video when it goes live, and you'll be able to get all the ingredients along with the quantities that we've used today. So here I've got some finely diced tomatoes, I've got finely sliced onions, I've got here rice which I've washed until the water ran clear, and I've got it soaking in plenty of cold water. Now when you're making a biryani, you want to use good quality rice. Now I use vetee extra long basmati rice, and I highly recommend this. I've got here potatoes, I've just chopped them into small pieces, and we have mince. Now in Urdu Punjabi we call our mince keema. So I've got my keema here, and we have some spices. I've got two sets here, which one is going to go into our base masala and the second set is going to go into our keema. So the first set is the salt, coriander powder, garam masala, Kashmiri chilli powder, turmeric powder and regular chili powder for heat. I've got yogurt, ginger and garlic, and I'm using fresh ginger and garlic. Especially when you make a biryani, you want to use it, and I try to use fresh as much as possible, but with this one there is no exception to using any other ginger and garlic apart from fresh. I've got here some whole spices. I've got bay leaves, I've got cinnamon sticks, I've got a black cardamom, and we have here dried whole chillies. And if you want to leave these out, you can do, but this is what's going to give the biryani that element of heat. It's lovely. And again, the second set of spices: salt, coriander powder, garam masala, Kashmiri chili powder, turmeric and ginger and garlic. We've got oil, and we also have the cumin seeds and salt for our rice. And we need to layer the biryani, obviously, so we've got some ingredients here, and I'm using pre-fried onions. Now you don't have to use these. If you wanted to fry your own onions, by all means go ahead, add more in when you're frying your onions at the beginning, and you can take them out and set them aside. I'm making my life easy and using these, and I've got here freshly chopped mint and coriander in the Ziploc, and sliced lemon, and we also have food colouring, which I'm going to add on top. Now you can leave this out, this is optional, or you can add saffron in replacement of that. That's entirely up to you. So let's start cooking. Right, I've got my pot on the hob, and my heat setting is currently on a low heat setting for my gas hob. And another thing to remember is when you're making biryani, you want a large pot to work with, so nothing's crammed. You don't want to break those beautiful grains of rice. So I'm going to add my oil into this and just let that heat up for about a minute or two. Right, so once the oil has heated up, you want to add your whole spices in and just fry them for about 30 seconds. And then we're going to add our onions in, and we're going to fry them for about 10 to 15 minutes. So make sure you mix the onions and they are covered in that oil. And then you want to pop the lid on and then let them cook away for the next 15 minutes. Stir them, keep an eye on them, don't leave them because they will burn, and you want to give them a stir maybe about 3 to 4 times whilst they're cooking for that 15-minute period. Make sure the onions that are right at the bottom come to the top when you mix them, and after 15 minutes I'll show you how they look. And the other thing that I want to mention at this point is that when you're making this biryani, I've not added, as you've seen, a lot of oil into this, because when you add the keema in, the mince in, it's got 20% fat in there anyway, so you don't want it to be really, really oily. So at this stage, if we can keep the oil less, we know that we're going to make up for that when we add the mince in. So I'll see you guys back in 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, this is how the onions should be looking. Lovely and caramelized, and don't worry about the ones that are stuck to the bottom. Once you add the tomatoes, they will come off. Now into this, we're going to add our ginger and garlic, and we're going to fry this for around a minute just to get rid of the rawness. And there, can you see the onions from the bottom have come off because of the moisture from the ginger and garlic that we added. And now we can add our first set of spices into this. and just give everything a good mix and be quick because we don't want those spices to burn. And I do have a boiled kettle to hand, which I advise. So I'm just going to add a little bit in just to stop them from burning. There we are. And now we can add our tomatoes in. All of them go straight in. Give everything a good mix. Now at this stage, we're going to turn our heat setting to a medium for my gas hob, because you want to bring the temperature back up again after you've added those tomatoes in. And I'm also going to go in with a little bit more water and just mix that through. And then pop the lid on again and lower the heat setting down again and allow this to cook for approximately 8 to 10 minutes until the tomatoes have softened up really nicely and the onions have broken down, and it gives you a lovely thick masala. And keep an eye on it within that 8 to 10 minute window. Keep stirring it and I'll show you how it looks once it's done. So whilst the masala is cooking away, we're going to prep our keema, and into this I'm going to add the second set of spices. So they go in, and also the ginger and garlic. Again, fresh ginger and garlic I've used for this recipe, and just mix everything in. And once you've mixed that thoroughly, just set that aside. Right, okay, so it's been 10 minutes that the masala has been cooking away, so I'm just going to remove the lid to show you. And you can see that the onions and the tomatoes have broken down really nicely. Now at this stage, we can add our marinated mince into it. And you want to break the mince down, and you want to cook this for 5 to 6 minutes without the lid on. So I'm just going to turn my heat setting up to a medium. So I'll show you how it looks once it's done. Right, so after 10 minutes, this is how the keema's looking. It's cooked down really well, and the oil has started to separate and come around the edges and the surface as well. And this is the right time to add the potatoes. So I've drained my potatoes and I'm going to add them in, and just make sure you mix them through well. And then I'm going to add some boiled kettle water into this, so just pour that over. Turn your hob up to full because you want this to come up to temperature now. Right, so once it's up to temperature, pop the lid on, and I've lowered my heat setting down to a low for my gas hob, and you want to cook this for approximately 6 to 8 minutes until your potatoes are almost cooked. Again, it depends on what potatoes you use. So I will see you guys back once they're done. I don't need to do anything to this now. I'll see you back in around 8 minutes time. Right, okay, so the potatoes have had approximately 8 minutes of cooking, and now I'm going to add my yogurt into this and mix it well. I've actually turned my heat setting down to a really low gas flame, and then you want to mix this through because you don't want the yogurt to split. And now I'm going to turn my heat setting to a medium for my gas hob and just cook the yogurt in that mixture for about 2 to 3 minutes. After 3 minutes, you want to turn your hob off, pop the lid on, and just set that aside. And now we're going to boil our rice. Right, we're now ready to boil our rice. So I've got a large wok here, and I've added a kettle of boiled water into this to speed the process up. And it's simmering away, as you can tell, lightly. And into that, I'm going to add the salt and the cumin seeds. By the way, for all those that ask, why is the salt pink? This is Himalayan salt. And just give the salt a mix so it dissolves. And then I've drained my pre-soaked basmati rice, so we're going to add this in gently. And now I'm going to turn my hob setting up to a high heat setting for my gas hob. And I'm just going to add a little bit more water, because you want to add more water when you're cooking rice because it absorbs and it expands. And just let that come up to temperature, and then you're going to boil this for no more than 6 minutes. Right, okay, so it's been 6 minutes that the rice has been cooking away, and it's time to drain this. This is almost 90% cooked, and I'm going to go off and I'm going to drain this, so I'll be back in a sec. Right guys, it's time to finally layer our wonderful biryani. I've got my rice ready there. The aloo keema is ready. I just had the gas up just to bring it up to temperature, and now we can add the rest of the ingredients in. But before I do that, I just want to mention another top tip. When you're making a biryani, I personally, when I'm using these quantities of ingredients here, which was half a kg of lamb mince, I tend to do 2 layers only, the meat layer and then the rice on top. If you're going to double the quantity of ingredients, you're going to need a bigger pot, and you're also going to need more layers, so 2 layers of meat and 2 layers of rice. So I'm going to start first of all by adding the pre-fried onions. Again, you know, if you've got onions that you've fried, just add them over. Then I'm going to add the sliced lemons, and that's going to give it a wonderful citrus flavour to them. And then you want to go in with a generous handful of fresh mint and coriander. Oh, look at that. So now I'm just going to add my drained rice just over like that. Perfect. I wish you could smell this, I really do. And just flatten it out, and then just repeat the process. So fried onions, the lemon slices, oh look at that, and the freshly chopped mint and coriander over. And this is honestly what makes a biryani. I've just added my food colouring to a bowl here, and I've added some hot water into that and just mixed it, and I'm just gonna add that over the top. Again, completely optional, you don't have to have this, but I love this. And now we're gonna pop the lid on, and we're gonna turn our hobs to the lowest possible heat setting for your hob, whether it's gas, electric, ceramic, whatever it is, you want it on the lowest heat setting. And we're gonna let that cook away and steam, but it's also known as giving dum, which is steaming, for the next 20 to 30 minutes on the lowest heat. You don't need to touch this now. Go off and just put your feet up for the next half an hour with the brew. Okay guys, so the biryani has finished cooking, and I'm gonna give you guys a quick sneak peek of how it looks. Just look how fabulous that looks, and let me plate this up to give you guys a closer look.